Jean-Paul Sartre. If we are condemned to be free, how should we live? Jean-Paul Sartre, born in Paris in 1905, was the defining public intellectual of the 20th century and the face of French existentialism. A novelist, playwright, and philosopher, he possessed a prodigious talent and a hunger for engagement. His partnership with Simone de Beauvoir formed one of history's most famous intellectual couples. Sartre's wartime experience as a meteorologist, a prisoner of war, and a member of the resistance sharpened his focus on freedom and commitment. His seminal work, Being in Nothingness, outlines a radical philosophy of freedom, while his later works attempted to synthesize existentialism with Marxism. He famously refused the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1964, insisting that a writer should not be turned into an institution. Even in declining health, he remained a vocal activist until his death in 1980, followed by a funeral attended by thousands in Paris. Existence precedes essence. For centuries, the dominant view was that humans are created according to a specific design, that there is a pre-existing human nature or essence. Sartre famously reversed this. In a world without a divine creator, there is no blueprint. We first appear on the scene, we exist, and only afterwards do we define ourselves. There is no human nature to blame or rely upon, we are simply what we make of ourselves. This reversal places the entire weight of responsibility on the individual. If there is no predetermined script, every action we take constitutes our identity. We are condemned to be free, forced to invent our own values in a universe that offers none. This concept strips away all excuses, asserting that our choices are the only brushstrokes that paint the portrait of our lives. Bad faith. Facing absolute freedom is terrifying. It generates anguish because it means we are responsible for the value of the world itself. To escape this, we often lie to ourselves, a state Sartre calls bad faith. We pretend we are not free, claiming our choices are determined by our past, our society, or our personality. This is the act of treating oneself as an object, like a waiter who acts like a waiter robot to avoid his own agency. In bad faith, we deny our transcendence, our ability to change, and hide behind our facticity, our concrete situation. It is a flight from the truth of our condition. Authenticity requires recognizing this mechanism and confronting the dizzying reality that, at any moment, we can choose to be otherwise. Radical freedom. We usually think of freedom as the ability to do what we want, limited by obstacles. Sartre's view goes deeper. Freedom is the very texture of consciousness. Because consciousness is a nothingness, a lack of fixed being, it is never fully determined by the material world. We are always separated from our situation by our ability to negate it and imagine it otherwise. Even a prisoner is free, not necessarily to escape physically, but to decide the meaning of their imprisonment, to despair, to resist, or to accept. This freedom is absolute and inescapable. We are freedom. This means that in every situation, there is always a choice of attitude. This terrified optimism asserts that we are the undisputed authors of our own lives, with no excuses to lean on. Sartre's existentialism defined the post-war mood, influencing a generation of writers and activists. His focus on political responsibility set the model for the committed intellectual. While later movements like structuralism attacked his philosophy of the subject, his analyses of the gaze and the body remain foundational in social theory. His plays, such as No Exit, introduced existential themes to a massive audience, famously embedding the idea that hell is other people into culture. Post-colonial thinkers like Frantz Fanon drew heavily on Sartre's work to critique colonialism. Despite the decline of his specific politics, Sartre's rigorous defense of human agency remains a touchstone for discussions on responsibility.